duck and dodge, and you got to look both ways before you cross the street. Everybody's taking shots at us, Caitlyn Clark fans, the Chicago Sky vloggers, the content creators, the Angel Reese content creators are firing at us nonstop. We got to keep our head on a swivel, y'all. We got to keep our head on a swivel. Stephanie White's a bum and needs to be fired. That's what's going on. Did y'all see the interviews today? Sophie Cunningham just exposed Stephanie White. Flat out exposed her.
Sophie Cunningham just pulled a plot twist straight out of a reality show nobody signed up for. She didn't just defend Caitlyn Clark, she body slammed Stephanie White's entire coaching credibility with receipts, sass, and a look that screamed, "I said what I said." What triggered this fiery takedown? Why is everyone in the WNBA acting like it's a group project gone horribly wrong? Stick around, because this tea is hotter than the Fever's bench rotation.
Stephanie White, in her post-game interview, confirms the team looks the best when the ball is in Caitlyn's hands, when she is the main decision maker, and everything revolves around her. Yet for some strange reason, in the Valkyries game yesterday, after witnessing that in real time, Stephanie White decides to change things up, slow the things down, take Caitlyn out the game, and she complains that the team suddenly loses focus.
The reason fans pack the arena, wear mismatch merch, and chant like it's a cult revival meeting has nothing to do with any 5-player setup. It's the Caitlyn system. Caitlyn is the system. You could throw 5 traffic cones in Fever jerseys beside her, and it would still sell out. Because at the end of the day, no one's buying tickets to see backdoor cuts and screen assists. They're buying Caitlyn, period.
Sophie Cunningham went on the record to basically say what I've been saying and everyone else. Give the damn ball to Caitlyn. Whatever offense we running right now, it is not working. You have to give the ball to Caitlyn and let Caitlyn do what Caitlyn has to do. Now, we done seen this formation time and time again. Now, I know some people might want to say Caitlyn Clark was off the ball somewhere at Iowa. She was a little bit in years past.
This isn't a team sport when the ecosystem revolves around one gravitational force. This is basketball theater, and she's the headline act, director, and the person who tears the ticket at the door. And into this glorious chaos walks Sophie Cunningham, part basketball player, part human microphone, and full-time truth dispenser. The woman doesn't have a mute button, and thank heavens for that.
It's a rough time being an Indiana Fever fan right now. Things is getting real crucial. It's real serious. We're almost 20 games into the season, and we are below 500. This is embarrassing. I would have, at the beginning of the season, I would have bet you my last breath. I would have bet my life, my house, everything, that there was a 0% chance that we would be under 500 19 games into the season. This is crazy.
Sophie isn't here to play diplomat. She's not applying for a job at the league office, and she sure as hell isn't sugarcoating anything to keep the good vibes only crowd happy. She says what needs to be said in HD clarity and with the precision of a buzzsaw in a dollhouse. People get nervous around her because she tells the truth like it owes her money. You ask Sophie a question, you don't get a soundbite, you get a fireworks show followed by a TED Talk.
To watch a 19-point loss, Caitlyn Clark's return, in which, since this is a lady we're talking about, it looks like Stephanie White has spaded Caitlyn Clark, for lack of a better way of putting it. If it was a dude, I'd say neutered, but, you get my point. She has taken away Caitlyn Clark's greatest asset, which is the creator and instigator of offense.
She's got that rare quality of actually believing what she says while saying it out loud in public, which, in today's era of media-trained athletes whispering platitudes, is the equivalent of skydiving with no parachute but all the confidence. Of course, some delicate souls got their feelings rearranged when she gave her 2 cents, more like $200, 0 cents worth, on which cities should be getting WNBA expansion teams. Gasp. A player with opinions about the league in front of microphones? How dare she disrupt the echo chamber of beige interviews and pre-approved talking points? She wasn't playing the league politics game. She rolled the dice, tossed the board, and told everyone the pieces were rigged from the start. But that's the charm. Sophie isn't trying to win Miss Congeniality. It's not PR, it's because she sees what every basketball IQ above sea level sees. Caitlyn is the system and everyone else is fumbling the user manual. There's no reason Caitlyn should be playing like she's being punished for inventing the three-point line. The only thing more awkward than her current usage is watching referees try to explain a tech foul without bursting into interpretive dance.
In the post-practice interviews, had this to say.
I think that everyone saw that. We kind of got some flow when Kate was hurt and our offense was clicking. But now we have to have a new offense when she's in there because she just brings that much to the game, and so we have to adjust. And I think all of us just want it now. We know
We had some flow, but when Caitlyn's here, we need to play a different style because she's that great. That is what Sophie Cunningham just said.
Instead of building the offense around the generational phenomenon, there's an active effort to integrate her, as if her presence is a mild inconvenience that needs bureaucratic approval. She's not a supporting character. She's not a developmental project. She's the blueprint, the main event, the pyrotechnic finale, before the gym lights cut out. Sophie doesn't have time for coded language. She doesn't have patience for legacy coaching hierarchies pretending it's 1997. She sees a star being dimmed on purpose and says, "Nope, not on my watch." Not because she's rude or disrespectful, but because she's unfiltered in a league that still loves its filters. She'll say out loud what everyone whispers in group chats. She'll question decisions that others excuse as strategic. She'll call out underwhelming coaching adjustments that look more like confused yoga poses than basketball plays.
Years pass, but when Caitlyn Clark has become the Caitlyn Clark we loved and we've grown to see, Caitlyn Clark has the ball in her damn hands, bro. Caitlyn Clark has the ball in her hands, and she said verbatim herself that they run a read and react offense. You know what that is? The ball's in Caitlyn's hands. Now, there has been a large speculation that Caitlyn Clark pretty much wants to go to New York and play with Sandy Barnadello and the gang.
Behind all the buzzwords and game plans, the real problem is this. The Fever had the keys to a Ferrari and decided to use it for a grocery run. Caitlyn's talent is being wasted like Wi-Fi in a forest. You don't draft a once-in-a-generation player to have her stand in the corner while someone else runs a post-up that ends with a missed layup and a collective sigh from the crowd. You let her cook. You get out of the way, pass the spatula, and let the genius unfold. But somehow, Sophie's the controversial one for noticing this out loud, not the coaching staff, not the offensive scheme that looks like it was scribbled on a napkin mid-turbulence, not the decision makers who keep treating elite shooters like casual role players. No, it's Sophie, with her bold statements and unwillingness to pretend the Emperor's robes are real. All she did was state a preference, and suddenly half the timeline was demanding an apology as if she insulted their grandmother's cooking. It's expansion, not Hunger Games.
Spurts. I don't care about the rest of what she has to say. It's gonna sound good, I'm sure. It's gonna be her refusing to take accountability, I'm sure. It's going to be her putting the onus on the players, I'm sure. Not owning up to her, I'm sure. But what she said right there, other than 2 5-minute spurts, the team lost focus, didn't pay attention to detail, so on and so forth. That is her not realizing that she's accountable for what transpired.
What Sophie understands, and what many refuse to admit, is that this league only thrives when the product is undeniably good. And right now, the product gets sold when Caitlyn touches the ball, not when she disappears for 10-minute stretches like she's grounded by the coaching staff. If people are buying jerseys and packing arenas for one player, maybe, just maybe, the offense should involve her more than the bench rotation involves folding chairs. No one came to watch the Fever run outdated sets that confuse motion with progress. No one's tuning in to watch offensive possessions that resemble group therapy sessions with zero resolution. They're coming for fireworks, deep threes, and the kind of confidence that makes even opposing fans cheer. Because sometimes, The truth needs a microphone and a little bit of attitude. And just when it couldn't get spicier, in comes Sophie Cunningham with that comment. Players on their own islands. Like this is a tropical cruise and not a professional basketball team. The WNBA suddenly turned into Survivor Indiana Fever edition, where trust is a myth, chemistry is folklore, and everyone's too busy paddling solo to notice the boat is sinking.
I've never thought that I would be saying this late last year in November when the Indiana Fever hired Stephanie White. I never thought I'd be saying this right now, only 19 games into the 2025 season, that it's time for Stephanie White to go. The Indiana Fever needs to fire Stephanie White. This is not going to work. What we're seeing is not going to work. It's just not going to work.
Because sometimes the truth needs a microphone and a little bit of attitude. And just when it couldn't get spicier, in comes Sophie Cunningham with that comment. Players on their own islands. Like this is a tropical cruise and not a professional basketball team. The WNBA suddenly turned into Survivor Indiana Fever edition, where trust is a myth, chemistry is folklore, and everyone's too busy paddling solo to notice the boat is sinking. And here's Sophie, grabbing the megaphone and pointing out what's been painfully obvious to anyone with two eyes and even half a basketball brain. The team isn't just disjointed, they're actively allergic to cohesion. It's one long group project where no one wants to open the Google Doc, and Sophie's standing there going, hey, maybe we should, work together? But instead of addressing the dysfunction, the powers that be decided to keep spinning the wheel of maybe this will click eventually, as if chemistry is going to magically appear like a limited time coupon. 2/3 into the season, and the head coach is still scribbling on a whiteboard like she's lost in a labyrinth of her own creation, still figuring it out. At game 20, that's not strategy. That's malpractice in a headband. Imagine having Caitlyn Clark on your roster and treating offensive rhythm like a scavenger hunt. The plays look less like designed action and more like improvised street performance art.
I like how she looks, but man, it's tough. It's tough to get that growing to 100%. But I like the mindset, thinking about her long term, right? Long term, and that's what matters the most. I know we are trying to push the Indiana Fever to win a championship right now this year. I know a lot of fans would love to see it, but at the end of the day, man, if Caitlyn Clark has to sit out for the rest of the year, would y'all be able to accept that? Would that be something you can live with? You know what I'm saying? Not saying she has to or anything like that. I'm just saying if that came about.
Meanwhile, Sophie's just calling it like she sees it because she's done pretending, done tiptoeing around the obvious. And let's be honest, if players are feeling disconnected, it's not a vibe issue. It's a leadership problem, and it's been slow roasting since day one. That island analogy wasn't just a stray remark, it was a full-blown diagnosis. You've got scorers not getting touches, defenders not getting direction, and rotations that look like someone's doing Sudoku mid-game. There's no system, there's no accountability. There's just a head coach with a playbook full of fog and a locker room full of polite shrugs. The disconnect is louder than the national anthem, and Sophie's the only one brave enough to harmonize with it. But the kicker? People still act surprised that she's saying these things. A roulette wheel wearing a whistle. It's not that the team doesn't have talent, they've got plenty, but talent without direction is just chaos and sneakers. You can't build chemistry by accident. You can't expect synergy when no one's allowed to build trust. And you definitely can't keep shuffling lineups like a DJ trying to save a dying dance floor.
So today, lads, obviously there's going to be a lot of videos about Stephanie White because we need to be honest here. Stephanie White's not going to change. Stephanie White is not going to change. Stephanie White is not going to stop until her style of drag everyone down to their level basketball prevails. She's not going to change. And I do not think that we're going to see very much of Stephanie White, or very much of the Fever playing good basketball under Stephanie White.
So when Sophie speaks up, it cuts through the noise like a chainsaw at a poetry reading. She's not whispering suggestions, she's delivering evaluations. And yes, it stings, but the truth usually does. Especially when it's been buried under layers of deflection, media jargon, and post-game interviews so vague you'd think they were written by AI trying not to get sued. And what's the response from the sidelines? More ambiguity, more trust the process energy, as if the process hasn't been a slow descent into mid-season purgatory. It's like watching someone refuse to read the instruction manual while assembling IKEA furniture, then blaming the screws for not having enough chemistry with the wooden panels. Meanwhile, fans are watching Sophie like she's the one sane person in a horror movie full of bad decisions. She sees the ghosts, points at the haunted basement, and everyone else is still like, no, let's split up and investigate separately.
Late last year in November, when the Indiana Fever hired Stephanie White, I never thought I'd be saying this right now, only 19 games into the 2025 season, that it's time for Stephanie White to go. The Indiana Fever needs to fire Stephanie White. This is not going to work. What we're seeing is not going to work. It's just not going to work. Stephanie White yesterday reduced Caitlyn Clark to a role player. She turned a star into a role player like we've never seen before. While Tyler Marsh is trying to turn Angel Reese into a star, Stephanie White is trying to turn Caitlyn Clark into a role player. Let that sink in. We're going to talk about that right now. Welcome back, everyone, to another edition of Rudy's Rant, Her Game, Her Way Women's Basketball. We talk facts over feelings. I'm your host.
Of course, there's no connection among players. They haven't been given the space to build it. What they've been given is a system that doesn't exist, expectations that are sky high, and a coaching philosophy that reads like a Mad Lib. The whole setup is a masterclass in confusion. You've got rookies carrying veteran burdens, you've got shooters playing hot potato with cold hands, and you've got Sophie standing in the middle of it all, torching the nonsense with a flamethrower of truth. It's not about being negative, it's about being real. She's not attacking players, she's advocating for them. She wants a system that honors talent, not one that buries it beneath passive aggression and outdated schemes. She's not here to coddle egos or babysit broken game plans. Urgency, reality. This isn't some mid-tier roster begging for scraps. This is a team with legitimate firepower being managed like a high school drama club lost backstage. And while others pretend everything's fine, Sophie's kicking over the prop table and asking why there's still no dress rehearsal.
With Stephanie White under fire by Fever fans, she blasted her team after the squad's loss to the Golden State Valkyries, which was a rough watch. No question about it, says there is correct. But she's going to get criticism because of the mixing of the lineups and the way Caitlyn Clark was utilized, or the idea of playing Caitlyn Clark off the ball, which has been an on and off topic all season long.
The insanity isn't Sophie's commentary. It's that what she's saying still needs to be said. It's 20 games in, and the head coach looks like she's still waiting for a starter pack to arrive in the mail. At this point, they've played more games than there are letters in incompetence, and the offense still has less flow than a broken water fountain. That's not progress. That's an endless cycle of, well, maybe next time, and still, through all the confusion and forced smiles, Sophie's standing her ground, not flinching, not softening, because she knows what the rest of the league is whispering. If Caitlyn Clark played for a different team, we'd be seeing nightly highlights instead of therapy sessions. She knows this roster isn't the problem. It's the direction, the game plan. Maybe the system would finally reflect the talent it was gifted. Until then, it's island living, a team adrift, a coach with a compass that spins. And Sophie, once again, saying what everyone else is too afraid to admit, that insanity is doing the same thing 20 times and still calling it a strategy.